It'll be okay now. Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Father Talk Show, a show that we inspire, empower our kings. Today, we have an amazing and a wonderful guest speaker. He's been here before, but this time he's sitting on the hot seat, and I look forward to have a chat with him. Today's topic is a single father navigating the world of dating. I'm going to say to every single father out there, there is hope. You can find your soulmate. And I want to say, when you're dating, date with the purpose. Make that dating journey God-centered. Now, I've got some amazing two kings in the house. Now, my co-host, Danny, and I call him my king. He's on the hot seat as well, so he's going to answer some questions. Danny, how's your day been today?
Yeah, Margaret, it's been really good, very relaxing. I had a bit of a late evening and I got back about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm a little bit tired, but apart from that, I'm all good. But I'm actually delighted to have our guest back for the second time, Dr. Jesse Adolf. I hope I pronounced the surname correctly. And I'm going to give you a brief introduction and then we're just going to jump straight into the questions. So Dr. Jesse Adolf is an assistant professor of English at Georgia State University Perimeter College. In the classroom, Dr. JR imparts knowledge on composition, literature, cultural studies to a diverse student body, drawing from over 13 years of teaching experience and holding a PhD in English alongside an MA in African American Studies from the University of Missouri, Columbia.
That's correct.
Dr. JR's teaching approach is innovative, utilizing hip hop, film, and literary criticism as tools to engage and inspire students while fostering critical thinking and writing skills. As the founder and coach of Dad Cypher, I love that name, Dr. JL leads workshops, consultations, and content creation, offering guidance for dads seeking to redefine their roles. Their journey and insights have also been shared through op-eds and articles on platforms like Blavity, where Dr. JL reflects on their personal experience as a fatherless dad who discovered healing and identity through hip hop. Jesse, welcome on the show for the second time. Absolutely delighted to have you on board.
Hey, yes. I'm excited to be here, guys. This is an awesome experience. What's going on, UK? I feel so official now. I've made it.
Yes, we've given you the passport for the UK, so you just have to come on up and join us.
You got the keys to the kingdom.
Thank you so much for being with us and coming time and time again. And also, I just want to say to our viewers, Dr. Jesse, he has been a great supporter. Every time I send him a message, he is on it. Doesn't wait any support that I need. So I want to say officially from the Father Talk Show, thank you so much for all your support and the background work that you're doing. And thank you for taking the hot seat. Thank you for coming to take the hot seat.
Again.
We've had amazing work that you're doing. Now, today the topic is about dating as a single fathers. All right, so they want to hear your wisdom, your knowledge. First of all, just tell us your journey, you becoming a single father. What brought you to become a single father first? Let's just start with that journey.
Are we beginning with me?
Yes, I'm beginning with you.
Okay, let's do it then. Okay. Well, I would say my journey into single fatherhood actually took place as a result of divorce. So I was married for 10 years. to the mother of my child. We for 10 years, father of four. And it was a really painful experience to go through the divorce process. So any dad that's out there that may have endured divorce, I would say dating is a particular challenge because first and foremost, the biggest challenge before you become a father is, just you're just trying to find someone for you, and you one is just going on this journey to find someone that they feel that they may be compatible with, or may just want to have a good time, maybe not being particularly serious. But as a divorcee, and you're going out into the dating world, it's a totally different process. And as Margaret said, you really have to be more intentional. And I would probably say it was a struggle for me at the beginning because first and foremost, you imagine 10 years of marriage and then you're going out into the dating world, and a lot of how you interact and a lot of the phrases that you may use to try to catch someone's attention has changed. So it takes a little while to catch up with what is going on in the lingo. And I would probably say for me, earlier on, I just really wanted to try to figure out who I was first. Because when you go through a divorce, like I have, it's really important that you reconnect with what are your likes or dislikes now. And so I had to figure that part out. And then as a result, kind of stick my toe into the dating pool a little bit. And then and I was very cognizant of making sure that I did not introduce anyone that I was dating to my children until I thought it was very serious. And of course, the woman that I ended up introducing to my kid, I put a ring on it, folks. so,
I love it. I
so I
love
was
it.
so I was dating with intention.
And just a quick question. How long was that process from after your divorce? Because there was probably a healing process, wasn't it? Like there is for me as well. And
Yes.
so for you, how long was it for you?
I would probably say the healing process was just for me to get connected with myself was about 2 years.
Yeah.
And then my wife and we dated 3 to 4 years before I popped the question. So it took at least 2 years. I mean, that process was a little bit it took some time because it was really a healing process of in a sense, I had to deal with the failure of a marriage. The no one goes into marriage with idea that hey, we're going to get a divorce. I mean, you should go into that mindset, but so it was really a journey of doing engaging into mental health and really trying to figure out and come to a space where I had to forgive myself for the failure of the marriage, because even when you're in a relationship, it is no one person to blame. It's two individuals in a relationship, and it took some time for me to really forgive myself for my part in the divorce as well. And then just with the children and trying to figure out, like, one goes into a relationship where you're trying to have like a two-person household, a nuclear family, to offer guidance and set a sort of model for your children about what love and relationships are supposed to be. And it took a moment to really get through that process and come out relatively well to step out into the dating pool, but also to reestablish what my relationship would be like with my children as a single dad.
I've got one key to, you said a very powerful key. I have to forgive myself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
amazing. What made you do that first? Looking at yourself to say, am I ready to go out there to date? And working on yourself and forgiving yourself. Speak to some of the guys out there, some of the fathers that go in there that's either been divorced or the partner, the relationship is not working. And the journey, just a few minutes, tell them the journey in terms of the process, one or two tips on forgiveness, because that is a powerful tool.
Oh, well, sure. First and foremost, I grew my early beginnings, I grew up in a fatherless environment. So for the most part, I'm a product of teenage parents, and my father was not an active father in my life. So for the most part, my idea of marriage was what I observed from pop culture. So whether it be the Cosby Show, for today's audience, I would probably say shows like Blackish and that sort of thing, where you would see, a father and mother into the household. And so I took those images and I tried to emulate that into my life. Unfortunately, life is not a 30-minute sitcom. You don't have the laugh reels that come with it and that sort of thing. And so when I talk about forgiveness, it was really, I would say, my ex and myself, we were two individuals from broken households, and we were also broken individuals. And I would say, for the most part, speaking for myself, I was looking for someone that I thought could complete me, when in actuality, one has to be a whole person when they get into a relationship. So when I speak about the forgiveness, I would probably say the forgiveness come in effect when I put my dreams and aspirations of what I thought a quote unquote perfect nuclear family would be. And I tried to impose that image on to a partner that did not have the same vision that I had. And so I had to forgive myself in that process because, hey, we all come with our dreams and our expectations. But before we get into a relationship, we really need to think about it as a business plan. One would not go into a business plan with a partner without a quote unquote vision. But many of us as dads, or I would say even as moms, sometimes go into relationships and we don't really have a vision of what we will see marriage to be, what we will see family to be in relationships. So oftentimes we're just so caught up in the honeymoon phase that we don't really take the time to really set out a vision for what we want it to be. So when it came to forgiving myself, I had to forgive myself for really imposing that vision and not really thoroughly communicating that. And I that's why it took me time, because I needed to really figure out what were my intentions in a relationship now moving forward. And also not only for myself, but also for my children.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. What about you, Daniel?
So look,
Uh,
when Jesse was talking, I'm like thinking, this is the way I should have done it. This is the way, have some time from after I get divorced, spend some time self-reflection. I've always done a lot of self-reflection, but I basically, went straight into a relationship, and having, been through that process and that relationship ended, I'm thinking, you know what? I should have spent more time with myself, being alone, processing all. Now I still do this inner work and I process the feelings around that, but it was the wrong time to do it with someone there, going straight into that relationship. It wasn't fair on her, and it wasn't really good for me as well. So that's how not to do it. Yeah. Get these ways the way ideally, do it. But then I always, I do have a vision and I do have an image of my mind of the kind of partner that I want and what they would do in my life. But I'm very heart orientated in that respect. It's sometimes I just do it intuitively, and it's what feels right for me and for the partner as well. So yeah. My only thing is I wish I'd spent a little bit more time alone and just experiencing that feeling, because it's a great opportunity for healing when you're just by yourself. It's painful, but it's a great opportunity.
Right. I want to say thank you so much. You know what I love about this conversation? Both of you did not look at to blame the woman, other than you've taken responsibility. That is really fantastic. That's been honest from the heart, because most time we hear that the men are blaming the woman, but you guys come totally the other side of it. Actually, I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to start working on myself and start with forgiveness. Thank you so much. Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, at what point, at what time do you feel that I now need a woman in my life? Dr. Jesse.
I think, being from the States, there's a lot of pressure for young men, even at an early age, to try to get to engage in romantic relationships, even before you're ready. So I would say with the imaging, I grew up in the 90s. It was a lot of images of relationships. And so at a very young age, I was even pressured by males, my uncles, my people who I looked up to as, I would say, the OGs in my community, always put pressure on young men to go out and date romantically. And I would probably say one of the biggest challenges is at a young age, we are taught to date in a sense as a form of conquest. It's not even romantic in a sense. It's more of, okay, well, how many phone numbers can you get? How much attention? So I would probably say at a very young age, maybe even before I was ready, I was kind of pressured into trying to find a partner into my life, even before I could even understand what that would even mean. So I would probably say in my environment, a lot of young men are kind of thrust out there to really engage into relationships, which I would probably say for the most part is not healthy. And just really quick on the flip side, in those same environments tell young ladies to basically be reserved. They tell them about protecting their bodies and that sort of thing. But that sort of advice is not passed down to the young males. So I would probably say with myself as a dad, I'm a father of three young men and a young woman now. And I told the young men that it's important that you value yourself, your body, and to make sure that you don't push yourself into relationships until you're emotionally ready. Because for me, it was a struggle to try to figure out how do you move from that conquest mindset to really seeing a woman as a human being or an equal, because the way it was taught to me at a young age that this was more of a sport than a relationship.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's certainly true. It's the same across this end of a pond as well. You know, it's more of a conquest thing for young men than it is, um, you know, just getting connection. It's all about, okay, how many notches can you build up? And
Mhm.
but I was never like that anyway. That never resonated with me. Um, so often felt a little bit out of place with regards to that kind of mindset. Um, and it's not really the way I work anyway, but it's yeah. But it was just like that's what guys talked about. It's
Mhm.
that and sports.
Exactly. Exactly. Everything is a competition. And men are taught to conquer competition, to show dominance.
Mm.
And really, even I would say some of the elder women sometimes in the community would say, "Well, what's the matter with this young man?" And then it's questions about who you are in terms of masculinity. So yeah, it was a struggle. So I would say with that particular question, yeah, I would say we were thrust out there at a young age, but I would say for serious connection, that mindset doesn't come up until much later.
Kind of mature. Now, I want to take you back. You said, going out there, obviously the dating language is kind of changed and everything. So, what was your opening line to the missus?
You know what? You know what I did? I would probably say I kind of my approach before I met my wife. So let me just put that out there. So before I met my wife, I think I was more into Facebook had come around.
Yes.
So before, at a young age, I would just approach a woman and say like, "Hey, how you doing?" or something like that to that effect. But so I didn't have like a opening line, but I would say on Facebook it made it a lot easier in a sense because all you had to do is start liking pictures and just like, hey, how you doing? And that sort of thing is sliding into DMs. I
Uh-huh.
would probably say that was a way that you could do it. Slide into the DMs, like pictures. I felt like that particular process, it took a minute to try to learn the language, and just trying to get what it would take to get someone's attention. Also, I would probably say things that I had to learn on the fly was how to take a thirst trap picture and that sort of thing. And for those who don't know what thirst trap pictures, it means that you're trying to take a picture that will grab someone's attention. So, for instance, if I'm trying to grab a young lady attention, I would probably like, you know, so, so
It's worked on Margaret.
I that's what it's married. Oh, that is so cute. Wow.
So you try to
So,
use that now. Now everyone is trying to. Now you just try to get one of these puppies, and your DMs will be filled, guys.
Yeah, just include something soft and cuddly in your picture.
what? There's a great message on that as well, because it's also representing you as well,
Right.
who you are and how you're feeling inside you, which is, and it's fantastic. So, is that mean you kind of started off with online dating? You met your missus from there, you know?
Now, when I got into, I would say I use social. I didn't use online dating, but I would just use social media, and I was just trying to connect with people that I knew from the past, so past crushes and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Maybe like from high school or that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, let's try to reconnect. So that was my way. But the funny part, like how my wife and I, how we met. it's kind of a funny situation altogether because we both met in graduate school. And it was
Oh,
funny. A close friend of mine said that it was this psychology graduate student that wanted to cover what were parents' experiences like in college. And so I said, hey, I'll be willing to just take a part in this. And so my wife actually did a psych eval
no.
on me. You
Oh,
know, and it's funny. So I always say this, whenever we get into a little argument or something, I was like, well, you knew my crazy from the beginning. You did it. So it was no surprise about what it was. So she did like a psych eval on me. And it was really talking about, the challenges that parents may face going through the college experience. But yeah, and so we had a great conversation. And I would probably say a year later, I ended up running into her. I was doing spoken word poetry. And so I would run those events. I was a host as well as a performer of poetry. And she came out to one of my events. And and we got to talking, and then the rest was history. So she got a chance to
did you
see
bring
that.
your cuddly toy?
No, no, no. I was doing poetry. I was no, I was she had a chance to see me hear me, say some lines and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is back in my get my poet days.
So basically, poetry, public speaking, and cuddly toys.
I did
Exactly.
it. So it was the poetry that wore into your environment. What about you, Daniel? What about you? How you started? I know you got a partner in your life, and what made you feel this was the right time that you needed this person in your life? And what was it
Well,
like?
I mean, we kind of like sort of bumped into each other. I don't do online dating. I have done it, but it's like with online dating, it's strange because you can connect with someone like in words, and then when you meet them, there's no connection. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I done that for a bit. But I met my current girlfriend on a camping trip. Sort of mutual. My daughter was there, other friends of family, and she was there as well. And we met and we talked, and and we didn't go into a relationship straight away then, but yeah, I like the traditional sort of approach, meeting someone face to face, to be honest with you.
And
And
the tradition is always best. There's something you said, Dr. Jesse. You said protecting your children. That How did you do that? And to be able to bring the woman in and for them to accept her as your
Well,
long life
when I looked
partner?
at it, when I looked at it, at a young age, I have witnessed friends that they, when their mothers were single, they always introduced different males into their life, and they would get close to these men, and then the next thing you know, they're gone. And so, even with myself, I wanted to make sure that whoever I introduced to my children were going to be someone that I feel that it was going to be a long-term relationship. So, in other words, with protecting my children, I just wanted to offer them an example of making sure that I date with intention. I just did not want to bring anyone that they would gain an attachment to, that I wanted to make sure that I was serious with that person. I didn't want them to become attached to anyone that I wasn't serious about. So I was very intentional with that. And I would probably say so a lot of that have to deal with some of the trauma that I experienced as a young man as well. With my own father, I got accustomed to seeing my father with new women all the time. And I got accustomed to seeing my uncles with new women. And I just didn't want to introduce that sort of lifestyle to my children when I became a dad. So I would date, and I would date a while um before I would introduce. And if I felt like the relationship wasn't serious, then they were not going to meet my children. And so yeah.
That is really powerful, and I think a lot of men need to hear this conversation that we're having out there, because wh- exactly what you've just said. Back in our days, we see our parent having different partners, or one comes in, one goes out, and they don't realize how much it impacts our lives as we grow up and everything. And thank you so much for that. So, what was that? How did your wife, or a missus before she became a missus, how she felt that she's dating a single father with children? Because that is something else, isn't it? What was
Well,
her
yeah.
take into that?
Yeah, well, as I stated before, my wife and I, we met in graduate school. So she's a psychologist now. So
Mm,
and so she was studying child psychology, and I mean clinical psychology, because she will kill me if I say child psychology. It was like clinical psychology. But anyway, so she was doing that sort of work, but she specialized with children. And
that's
so I
fantastic.
would probably say, for my wife, I think she really appreciated my relationship with my children. And so she really took time to observe my how I interacted, how involved, because I had custody of my children every other week. So it was like one week I'm a full-time dad, the next week I'm a dad that is dealing with the challenge of not seeing my children for a week. So it's this on again, off again. And so I think she's took a step back to observe how I engage with my children. And then I think what was very important too was my interactions with my ex as well. Now I would say for that it was a really toxic environment, but I think she really was impressed with the way I handled those situations, and tried to make as best of my ability to make a toxic situation more palatable. And so that was the so she I think she had a chance to observe those sort of things. I would say the more of the challenge was more of my ex, unfortunately, and having a conflict uh, with my wife now, my current wife. So yeah, so we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely. What about you, Daniel? How did that work for you as well with your daughter meeting this, introducing
My
your
girlfriend.
partners, yeah, your girlfriend to your daughter?
Yeah, they get on really well. Uh, both of them love each other. And my daughter's very easygoing anyway. She's like very relaxed, and she's just very accepting, and I'm so privileged to have a daughter like her. And um yeah, yeah, I can just say they get along. They enjoy each other's company, and yeah, and because my partner also have two kids as well,
Okay.
I think it's for me it's important that I get along with her kids as well, and I see them in the same light that I see my daughter, with as much love as well, and yeah, um, very fortunate in that respect.
That is
You know
fantastic.
what? I want to say, I kind of wish that I had that sort of experience, because I think the biggest challenge that I faced in terms of the actual kids. It was always a hot cold situation when it came
Mm-hmm.
with the relationship between my wife and my children. When we were dating, for the most part, what made it hot and cold is really just oftentimes I would say that other parent, so they kind of set the parameters of how they will accept that new person in your life. So it was moments where they were really loving and open and that sort of thing, but there were also moments where I guess they kind of felt threatened that my girlfriend at the time, who's now
Mm-hmm.
my wife, would replace their mom. So it was this constant challenge of reassuring them that no one can replace their mom, and the role that my girlfriend, who became my wife, will play, and just making sure that I had to remind them that we always come into situations with a level of respect. And of course, with kids, they're going to challenge that, and they're going to, you know, uh, find the boundaries, because for the most part, I think every child still wants their parents. They imagine things to be the parent trap. And so
Mm-hmm.
they still want their parents to be together. So I would say it was a challenge for them at times, because even my ex, she moved on, but it was still more fixated on my relationships. And I think it's because sometimes the co-parent plays a vital role in the way that that new person is accepted. And so
Yeah.
I would say for any single father out there, if you can, try to have a talk with the mother of your child to try to say, and try to talk about how to discuss the new formation of the family. But if you can't do it, like in my particular case, then you just try the best that you can to be as consistent as you can be about who you are.
I think
Wow.
you said really good points, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the more healing there is done between you and your ex-partner, the easier everything else becomes. If there's some sort of underlying resentment and anger and stuff hasn't surfaced and been let go of and released, then when you go into a relationship with someone else, there's gonna be issues from the ex or from the other ex, or there's gonna be stuff coming up. It's gonna be a lot more challenging. Whereas if you resolve the conflict with your ex at a deep level, then in my experience, things start to work themselves out a lot more easily. Yeah, so yeah.
I
It-
totally
it-
agree.
yeah, and is that how you find it in terms of the relationship to settle your home, the challenges with the kids as well, Dr. Jesse?
Yeah, I would say it's the biggest challenge for any single dad that's out there that's trying to date. The biggest challenge is, trying to really, for the most part, one has to control their narrative. And I would say what happens sometimes, especially if you're in a negative co-parenting situation, sometimes you will find that your character, as well as your story, your narrative of who you are, is oftentimes distorted. So I agree with Daniel. The more that if you're healed and the better co-parenting relationship that you have, I think it's better for your dating experience. However, if you have an experience like I had, with, like I stated before, we were two broken people, and that sort of thing. So when you have those situations, I think it makes it quite difficult for the children. But the only way that I made it was just reminding my children of who I am as their father, just reminding them of the role that I play in their life, and also reminding them as well that they need to respect, and like my girlfriend or my significant other must respect them as well as they must respect my significant other. So and respect looks differently across the board, but just trying to make sure that you treat people with kindness, with with kindness, treat them with compassion, and that sort of thing. So I would say the one thing that I'm proud to report is over the years their relationship has evolved, and I would say they come to a point of not only acceptance but having love for my wife as well, because they realize she's not a threat to their mom relationship, and she's not taking me away from them as well. We're a partnership. So for any
Wow.
dad out there, it's just important to remain consistent.
That is a really good one. You know what I love as well? You say it's like to have that respect there. Also, the new woman, the wife, and everything to be able to respect the children as well. So that can be reciprocate to her as well. So it becomes like a full circle. That is incredibly powerful because that's another thing a lot the other woman coming in to the children feeling, okay, you're going to take our parents, my mom's part or my father or kind of role. So how do I fit in? And to be able to put all that together and work together and build the foundation of respect as well, because kids need to be feel they're respected, particularly to the new partner that's coming in. That is very, very powerful. Well done. Thank you very much. What about you, Daniel? Would you feel with that journey?
In what way? In
The part like what Dr. J says, to make sure that the children feel respected by the woman coming in, the new person or the new man.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's partly up to myself to choose the kind of woman that would do that. And hopefully I would do that, because I don't think I would choose someone who doesn't get on well with my children, and that for me, with my children, my daughter. But that to me is probably the most important thing, because if there's that conflict, then okay, that's a big thing. You want them, and ultimately I don't think I would have anyone in my life that didn't get on with my daughter, you know. But at the same time, if that happened, it may be that I would have to do some inner work within myself to see, okay, why have I attracted the situation where there's a conflict between my daughter and my girlfriend or wife or whoever? Why? What's there within me? What could I clear within myself? Because it's all together. There's just one, so we're all one ultimately. All the three of us or four of us, however many there are. There's some sort of connection between all three of us. And as one person heals, that reconnects everyone. So yeah, I would look at it that way. If that did, what could I do within myself to clear my stuff to help the other two people to connect?
Wow. Now, my next question to you, Dr. J, how do you balance the responsibility now, being a father and a husband and work?
Mm. Well, you know what? If someone can come up with that secret formula, they would be a multi-billionaire. I would say, I would say it's funny. It is a huge challenge. I would say to find like work-life balance when you're trying to date, when you're trying or in a marriage and working and being a dad. It really is a balancing act. And I would probably say for me, I would find myself that I struggled at the beginning. Because I would I'm hyper focused on being a provider. So there were times where I would just engage into my work and trying to provide. And sometimes it would be where maybe the kid didn't get enough attention, or maybe my wife didn't get enough attention. And it just got to a point where it really started being detrimental to my physical as well as mental health. So what
Mhm.
I had to learn how to do eventually, and this took a long time, so I don't want to come up and just be like, hey, this is a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. I would say for the most part, I had to learn self-care. And a part of
Mhm.
the big part of the journey was like, okay, I need to try to make sure that, I'm doing something to take care of my mental health, change up on diet, change up on getting exercise and that sort of thing. And I would say that for the most part with me, it was really trying to put together a schedule of high priority events versus low priorities. So I always try to make sure that I set high priorities to make sure that I engage with my children, to make sure that they have what they need. So that took high priority. Also, date nights with my wife, because you have to keep that going, but also making sure that I balance that with priorities that being a college professor and an educator, what that calls. So I would probably say it was very hard, but my formula for right now is always beginning with self-care, because if I'm not happy and healthy, then I can't give to everyone else. So I try to give out of my overflow, so to speak. So if I'm feeling good about me, then I can feel good and give that goodness out to other people. But when I was just juggling, and I wasn't happy, I felt like sometimes they didn't get the best version of me. So
Thank you so
self-care,
much.
yep.
That is such a powerful answer. But just a minute, at what point that you felt I need to take care of myself? At what point, what breaking point that you say, right,
Okay,
this
I'll
is
give you
not
an
working?
example. It was a couple of moments, but I'll give you one example that would stand out. Okay, one
Mhm.
time I attended my wife's family reunion, but yet at the same time, I scheduled a visit to the aquarium as well. So I was so I'm rushing, running around, doing the family reunion stuff. And then I didn't eat well, didn't sleep well. And it was a hot day in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to say it was probably in the upper 90s. And in the South, that humidity makes it like it's imagine you're in a steam room or a sauna, but it's outside. So that's what Atlanta was like. And so what happened was I was rushing to get to the aquarium because we have a certain time allotment that you can go in.
Mm.
And I remember walking and I felt that my heart was pounding because I'm running and I'm rushing and I'm trying to do that and I'm not eating right. I'm not healthy. And I stopped for a minute to catch my breath. But then I looked at the time and said, no, we have to rush. And before I knew it, I took maybe 3 steps and I face planted
Mm.
on the sidewalk. And it's so bad that my upper tooth went through my lip. And so
Oh,
I had to be hospitalized for 3 or 4 days for dehydration and that sort of thing. And that's when I learned that I really have to take care of my health, my mental health, my physical health, and make sure that I'm listening to my body. And if I don't listen to my body and that sort of thing, then I can't take care of my children. So that was an eye-opening experience for me.
Wow. Wow. That is powerful. That is powerful. What about you, Daniel? What about you?
Um, I was always quite lucky in that respect because, I started my IT business when I was 26. So I'd been going out with my wife, who's now my ex-wife, I think a couple of years, and I always wanted, I started I sort of woke up I had like a spiritual awakening experience at 26 after reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and which that book changed my life. And I realized that I had this overarching need to succeed. And, I started my business then, but the way I approached it was different. I made everything quite balanced. So I wanted to, I worked hard initially, but then I always put enough time to see, when my daughter was born, to see her, to spend, like 4 or 5 hours with her a day, to put enough time. And I arranged my business around that. I gave my employees a lot of freedom. It was like I ran the company with a lot of transparency as well and freedom. So, for example, I would allow my employees to take really long lunch breaks, give them a lot of freedom and flexibility. And I could do the same. So if I was going to do that, then I would have to give that freedom to them as well. And in doing that, I was able to provide that, to spend a lot of time with my daughter. When we got divorced, I was still able to do that. However, then she moved away to, a city about 2 hours away. And that was really difficult for me to have that, to go through that experience, and, shed a lot of tears during that process of, and it's 2 hours away. It's, compared to, I used to see her like 3-4 times a week. So, but it's something that, I accepted and allowed. And I had some anger towards my ex-wife when she first came up with it. And I was like, okay, I need to let that go, forgive her. And yeah, and again, I realized that if there's a part of me within me that feels disconnected and distant from her, it's something that I can clear myself. And even if she's 100 miles away, 200 miles away, if I've cleared the inner emotions, then I still feel connected with her. And she feels connected with me, even if we're, let's say, 100 miles away. Yeah. However, if there's, let's say, for example, we don't clear this stuff, then there's still that sense of distance, even if they're in the same room, for example. And I think we've had this where, people are both carrying these emotions, they haven't been cleared, and you can be in the same room as them and they're still distant. So yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, that is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing and so openly. And I really love the part. And I can connect with you, the part in terms of protecting your children. Because I remember, because I'm bringing up 2 boys, it was so important that what I do can affect them in terms of relationships. So I kind of stayed still and then just protect them, making sure this man's not coming in, this man's not going out or anything like that. Because I wanted to give them that safetiness, that this is how relationship to be. Thank you so much. Truly, truly appreciate you. Dr. J.L. Adolf, thank you so much. You've been a blessing to this Father Talk Show. You kind of opened up and spoke really open wisely. And I believe what you've shared today, a lot of fathers out there, single fathers out there that have gone through divorce or separation and not seeing their children and looking in today, what you've shared, I think is so inspiring. It's so motivation. Thank you so much. And of course, my co-host, Daniel, I truly appreciate you. Indeed, you're a king. And thank you for
You're
sharing.
a queen.
He's got
That's right.
He doesn't say anything.
She is a queen.
We
100%.
trained.
Absolutely amazing. But
Exactly.
Jesse, as well, from I thank you for the bottom of my heart for you being here and sharing your stories. Absolutely amazing having you on the show. And like each time I listen to you, it's just like, you inspire me as well. So thank you.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
no,
appreciate being on this platform. I hope, and I know this platform is going to help a lot of dads to sharpen the tools that they need. And I would just encourage each dad out there to click and subscribe to this platform. You need to be engaged on a regular basis. Click and subscribe. Make sure, because we need these tools. There's not a lot of people that are speaking to fathers, and what Margaret and Daniel is doing is really a blessing in this day and time. So I would tell the audience out there, make sure that you're clicking in each time that the podcast, I mean, the father's talk is taking place, because it's needed. And see, also figure out, if you're a dad out there and you have some questions, go ahead and email Margaret and just say, ask about, hey, have you thought about this? Or that sort of thing. Because, maybe we have more questions we have more answers that we have, or maybe we could just even think about the questions. We're not always a sage. Sometimes we're just a space where good conversation can take place. So check out the Father Talk Show.
Margaret, we don't need a promotion team. We've just got Jesse now.
it's just funny for us today. Thank you so much. It's needed. It's needed. Thank you. Truly appreciate you for that. Thank you. And
No
I want to
problem.
say thank you to my co-host that's always here. And I want to say a special thank you and love from my heart to you, Dr. Jesse. You've always been here. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. To all the fathers out there today, the single fathers, or even just the man that's out there, that's kind of feel that life is kind of hopeless, it has no meaning. Hopefully today, as we sat here and we share our journeys, our guest shared his journey as a father, the struggle that he has. It goes to show very clearly that you are not alone in that journey. It's happened to somebody else thousands of miles away. But the whole thing about the Father Talk Show is to bring those people who's gone through the journey to be able to share their journey with you, to inspire you, to motivate you, and to encourage you. But please, with the Father Talk Show, do leave me a message on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Just contact us, because we want to hear from you. We want to support you. And also, Daniel is here. So I hope you took some very valuable tools here today. And I want to say to you, yes, you can date. You can do that. And you can do what our guest did. Dr. Jess, get the teddy bear and then just hold it and smile.
And learn some poetry as well. So,
And you can write really bad poetry and still get
as long as it's poetry, it doesn't matter.
And the poetry as well. So we want to say thank you so much. And now we're going to say to my guests, how could they reach you? Because I think you got powerful ministry. I've been following you on YouTube. Whenever you come in on Facebook and LinkedIn, I tend to listen to what you say. How could you, if there's a father there near you, where you are, that wants to contact you, how can they contact you?
Okay, so my name is again Dr. J.L. Adolph. I'm with Dad Cypher. That's DADCYPHER. Dad Cypher Edutainment. And one of the things that I particularly do, I create transformative experiences for rebel educators, empowering them to guide at-risk youth to heal from father wounds and parental traumas. So my approach is rooted in hip hop therapeutic writing, and it enables promise youth to remix their narratives and step into their purpose. So you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, and also on TikTok as well. So I'm on all of those areas. And so if it's for dads, it's for educators. I'm here and I'm trying to help people to change their stories, their narratives, in the way they see themselves. Before I sign, now that I'm done with the plug, in the States, I don't know that you guys have it here. In the States, tomorrow will be Mother's Day. So in this, for all the mothers out there, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to you all. Happy Mother's Day to my mom and to my wife for being a great bonus mom. I just want to say thank you all so much. Because of you, we are dads. So we appreciate that.
So
Jesse,
what's the
we're gonna
Mrs. name? Sorry, what's the Mrs. name?
Oh,
So
my wife, Dr. K Trailer Adolph, but everybody calls her Dr. K. So really, here's the funny thing: we call Dr. J and Dr. K. So, so she's Dr. K, and the therapist, and I'm just the English professor.
okay. It's okay. Want to wish you a Mother's Day for, our Mother's Day was back in March, but we want to wish you a Mother's Day. And lady, I salute you. You're an amazing woman. Any woman that steps into man's house with children on it and you embrace those children as your own, Dr. K, I salute you. Thank you for being an amazing and a wonderful woman. Thank you. All right. My king, what about you? How could they reach you?
Anyone can reach me through clearthepath.co.uk. I have a Instagram channel called The Gift of Letting Go, but I never check that, but usually it's through LinkedIn as well and my website. So yeah. And yeah, absolutely pleasure to be here as always.
Thank you. I would have both of the website on YouTube as we do the write-up, and also all of them, we will have that so you can contact them. And how could you contact the Father Talk Show? Well, definitely LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you can contact us. And yes, please do interact with us in YouTube as well, because I do go into YouTube and see any comments. I want to say thank you so much to all my guests, to all my viewers. Thank you for all your support. May God richly bless you. May God richly bless you and your family, Doctor, and also my King. God bless you all as we sign.